Hi, everyone. Welcome to my biblical study series called Extraordinary Ordinary People of the Bible. My main mission is to help people to learn and to understand that many of our famous figures in the Bible were really just ordinary people. And they became extraordinary through their association with Jehovah God. And so my study series is focusing on Moses. This is actually segment number 7 in our study of Moses, an extraordinary, ordinary man. So go ahead and click on the like and subscribe button if you like my message today. You know, you really have two options in life, basically. When the Lord is active in your life, when you are a Christian, you're a believer in faith, you believe in the grace of God, you really have two options. Option number one is you obey God and make history, or you don't obey God and you will be history. Okay, so what a lot of people, including myself, until I really started studying Exodus, I did not realize that God told Moses to tell the Hebrew people or the Israeli people to actually ask the Egyptians to give them their items of silver and gold. Imagine you are an Egyptian and a slave comes up to you, the lowly slave, the people that lived in that slave ghetto or district called Goshen, they're going to walk up to you and say, okay, can I have your gold and silver? What do what do you think to yourself is going to happen? Well, I would say something's bad going to happen to those slaves who's asking for silver and gold. But they went ahead and behaved because just like the Lord turned Pharaoh's heart and hardened Pharaoh's heart, he also gave the Hebrews favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And actually, Moses became a very popular figure in the court of Pharaoh. He became very well respected and admired. So Moses simply appeared to Pharaoh. And, you know, we're in the 10th plague. We're in the last plague. I'm describing the build up, the background, and the actual happening of the last plague of Egypt, which is the 10th plague. And throughout many of the plagues, I think plague number 3, plague number 6, plague number 9, Moses just and Aaron, they just did what the Lord told them to do. And in this one, the 10th plague, what I'm trying to say is there was no pronouncement or announcement to Pharaoh what was going to happen. What do I mean by that? I mean, usually Moses and Aaron would give Pharaoh an if then statement. If you do not let my people go, then this is going to happen to you. But on this occasion, during the 10th plague, the Lord was treating Pharaoh like a child, which he really was, but like a disobedient child. Basically, for those of you that have kids, and especially teenagers, you know how what I'm saying. You have given your child many chances to do what you want them to, or do what you ask them to do out of your wisdom, out of your experience, for their good, and they resisted. And so you get to the point where you just had enough and you just pronounce a sentence on your teenager like roar. This is going to happen to you. There's no negotiation, no ifs, ands, and buts. I've had it. I'm done. Over. Okay. Many of you have had relationships where you've done with your spouse or you're done with your girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other. You've given them many chances. They resisted, and you just said, done. And so this was the relationship between the Lord Jehovah himself and Pharaoh. He was done. So he sent Moses to tell Pharaoh, about midnight, I'm going to go out throughout all Egypt, and I'm going to send my destroyer angel. And all of the firstborn of you, Pharaoh, all of the firstborn of your servants, and even the firstborn of your beast shall die. There is no negotiation on this. This is going to happen 100%. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can say. You can even say, I'm going to let your people go. This is it. Okay? And he said, there will be such a great outcry that there never has been seen before across the land of Egypt. And he said, I will also make a distinction between my nation of Israel and the Egyptian nation, because nothing's going to happen to the Hebrew nation or the Israeli people. Everything's going to happen to your people. And so Moses turned around, he spent on his heels, and he turned around and he left Pharaoh's chamber in anger. So Moses was very intense when he gave this message to Pharaoh. And so Moses went back and he informed the Hebrew people, this month is going to be from now on, this month is going to be the first month of the year in the Hebrew calendar. And the following is going to be done on the 10th of the month. You will sacrifice a male, unblemished lamb or sheep according to the size of your family. Meaning, if you have a very small family and you can share some of the roasted lamb with a larger family, with one of your neighbors, you have permission to do so. Okay? And you will kill the lamb at twilight, meaning in the evening, and you will drain its blood in a pan, and you will take the branches of a hyssop um, plant, and you will sprinkle the doorpost, those two vertical posts at your door, and the lintel, which is the crossbeam, the horizontal crossbeam above the two doorposts. You will spread the blood across the doorpost and the lintel. Now, a hyssop plant was really used for medicinal purposes, for digestive and intestinal problems, including liver and gallbladder conditions, intestinal pain, intestinal gas, colic, and loss of appetite. It was a very widely used plant, the hyssop plant. And so the Lord said that he's going to strike down all the firstborn of Egypt. He told the Hebrew people. He told Moses to tell the Hebrew people why we're doing this. The reason why we're doing this is because the Lord himself is going to strike down all the firstborn of Egypt, including the beast in Egypt, the firstborn of the beast in Egypt. And the blood that you are spreading on your doorpost and lintel, it will be a sign that I will pass over you. Hence the name Passover. So this is the first Passover in human history. And you must prepare that lamb, that roasted lamb, as if you are going on a long journey. So in today's example would be, you got the car packed, you got your backpacks all packed and sitting in a corner, you got you got the house all your possessions are all packed out of the house that you're going to take with you, and you're sitting on that roasted lamb at twilight. Uh, so in the evening. So you're not doing it in the morning. You have that roasted lamb roasted for the evening because you're about to leave as soon as the death angel takes care of all the the people of Egypt. So at midnight, the Lord killed all the firstborn of Egypt, man and beast, and then uh, you heard all these terrible screams throughout the throughout Egypt, except in Goshen, where the blood was the blood of the lamb was spread across the lintel and the doorpost. The destroyer angel passed over those homes that had the blood of the lamb and killed every firstborn of Egypt, including the beast of Egypt. And so there was this huge outcry. You can hear all the wailing of mothers and fathers as they were in shock and mourning the loss of their firstborn children. And so that night, Pharaoh got up that night along with his court, and he summoned Moses immediately to come see him. Hey, I'm mad now, and I'm in shock right now. My firstborn is dead. Okay, and so I've had it with you people. He told them, take your people and go. Take your possessions with you and go, fulfilling a prophecy of the Lord in Genesis, that the Hebrew people will be in a captive land for over 400 years, and they will take their possessions with them. That was a prophecy that the Lord has already predicted way back in Genesis. Okay, even before the birth of Moses. Okay, and so Pharaoh told him, take your possessions and leave. And guess what he said? And I never would have believed that I found this in my study of, of, of Moses and the Exodus. Pharaoh said, he actually said, and take your possessions and leave and bless me too. Can you believe that? And bless me too. And so then the Hebrew people asked the Egyptians for their gold and silver, and the Egyptians just gave up their gold and silver and gave it to. They were so outdone with the Hebrew people and all the plagues and all the things that they've suffered. They said, "Here, take anything you want. Take my possessions, gold, silver. Here, take this, and go. Just go." And so, and don't forget, the Lord allowed the Egyptians to find favor in their eyes toward the Hebrew people. Okay? All right. So it came to pass that after 400 years, actually 430 years, that it's estimated that 600,000 Hebrews or Israeli journeyed forth from Ramses, which is a storage city that the slaves actually built. They built storage cities, and this is one of the storage cities that was built. So they left Ramses and they traveled to an area called Sukkah. Okay, and Moses, he did not forget. He did not forget the promise that was what made between the nation of Israel and Joseph. And Moses made arrangements to take the bones of Joseph with him because Joseph made the Israelites swear an oath to don't let my bones stay buried in the land of Egypt. Let my bones go to the promised land. And so they honored that oath. And the Lord led them in a pillar of cloud by day and fire at night so they can see their way. So I mean, it was like a GPS tracker device. So all they didn't have any instructions. You know, remember they were traveling through the wilderness, and there was no map, there was no road maps. You know, remember these people they were captives. They spent all of their lives in Egypt, captive, slaves. They didn't know where they were going, and so the Lord provided sort of like a GPS, and all they had to do is follow the pillar of cloud by day where they can see. And if it stopped, they stopped. If it turned right, they turned right. If it turned left, they turned left. If it backed up, they backed up. It was like a GPS device. And so, and at night, when the Lord wanted them to keep on traveling at night, it became a pillar of fire. Okay? And so was done by the angel of the Lord, and it helped them see their way. I'd like to offer a side note. Bithra, who was Pharaoh's daughter, she was a heroine in this whole episode in the Exodus, and she was also a background figure. She's sort of a figure in the background. Remember, she actually rescued Moses from the Nile River as an infant. So let's not forget Bithra and what she did. So Moses' daughter Bithra, she actually celebrated the first Passover with Moses in a slave's quarters. So she actually left the palace. Get this, Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter. That's like the president's daughter. Okay? Pharaoh's daughter left the palace, spent the night during Passover in a slave's quarters. Okay? That's how much faith she had in the Lord, Jehovah, Yahweh. Um, and her firstborn. She had a firstborn son, and the Bible does not give his name, but it, 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 the Bible scholars have come to the conclusion that it was a male child, and her firstborn child, he became the only Egyptian to survive the 10th plague of the Lord. So she leaves Egypt with her son for the promised land. Okay? So she was rewarded for her faithfulness and her service to Moses and in conjunction with the Lord. And later on in her life, it has said that she married a member of the tribe of Judah, and his name was Mered. That was her husband, Mered. So I just want to give you that. I just want to give you that side note in regards to Bithra. And so the Lord told Moses to backtrack through the wilderness and camp near the Red Sea. He didn't tell Moses that. He just informed Moses that's what was going to happen. Because you got to remember, the Lord was using his GPS tracker, the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire, and he backtracked the nation of Israel to where they were against the Red Sea. And I'm sure the Israeli people are like, what? Why are we up against the sea? Aren't we supposed to be going to the promised land? But from all indications, they did not question. I'm sure there were some, but Moses did not question the Lord on this. And he also said to Moses, thus, I will harden the heart of Pharaoh, and he will chase after the nation of Israel. Okay, so what happened is Moses took 600 of his best chariots, okay, and his captains, 600 of his captains, and along with other members of his army, of his cavalry, shall we say. And they chased after the Hebrews because they were thinking not only did the Lord harden the heart of Pharaoh, but they were also thinking, hey, we let these people go. They're supposed to be doing our work. They're supposed to be sweeping our floors and keeping us cool with those big fans. Who's going to do that? Who's going to build our cities and store our grain? We're not used to doing that in all this heat and all this sun. We're not We need to go get those people. They're too valuable for all this doing 400 free labor for 400 years, and we're gonna give that up. So uh, again, the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh arranged for 600 of his best chariots along with the captains, and they set out toward the Israeli people. Now, you got to remember, a chariot back then was pretty much regarded like a tank is now, a very fearsome uh, war machine. Usually, not always, but usually you have two people on a chariot, one that's actually driving the chariot, and then you have an archer that's alongside of the driver, and they also have spears that they use in battle. Okay, and so you had a chariot. This was a very fearsome thing back in the ancient world, and they will kill you by trampling over you, or that archer will shoot you with his arrow, or they would throw a spear if they got in range. So this was a very fearsome instrument of war. Okay, and so I'm sure the Israeli people first thought it was a dust storm on the horizon as they were camped out by the sea. But when the Egyptians were in sight, the Hebrew people cried out to the Lord and complained to Moses, "You got us up against this sea. We're going to be killed. I would rather be a slave than to be killed and massacred by the Egyptian army." And Moses told his people, "Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The Egyptians you will see today, you will not see tomorrow." So Moses did not question the Lord. He was at the point now where he fully trusted the Lord. Imagine you're out there with over 600,000 of your people and you're trapped against the sea. And then you turn around and you say, "Look, people, stand still. Just chill. We got this. The Lord has this. Just chill." Can you imagine how much faith it took to do that? Remember, Moses, in the beginning of the time that he was, at the end of the time that he was in the desert, he was a broken man. He had no confidence in the Lord or anybody. He just wanted to be content to live out his days in the desert and die. And now you have him up against the sea. And the first thing he tells his people, without even seeing the Lord working in his life at the time, the first thing he tells his people to stand still, chill. The Lord has this. That's faith. That's faith, people. And then he made the pronouncement, the Egyptians that you see today, you're not going to see tomorrow. Trust me. Okay? And so Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the seabed became dry by the east wind. What do I mean by that? Okay. As Moses was stretching out his hands and the water became walled up on each side, there was an east wind to swoop in. Okay, west wind is usually called a zephyr. East wind, I don't know if there's a name for an east wind except for east wind. It was hot. It was a very, very intensively hot wind. Why did the wind blow, the east wind blow through the ocean bed, is to allow it to dry, to allow the people and their carts and their oxen not to be bogged down in the sand. So that east wind came in, whew, came in and dried up the ocean bed to allow the people to be able to walk on the ocean bed over to the other side of the Red Sea. And the pillar of cloud got in behind um, the nation of Israel as that was happening, and so the pillar of cloud stopped the Egyptian army from pursuing the nation of Israel. At the same time, the ocean bed was being dried by the east wind. At the same time, the wall of waters built up on each side, allowing the nation of Israel to cross. But guess what happened to the chariot? On the other end of the Red Sea, as the nation of Israel, the Israelis walked through, there was mud on that end, on that side, on the Egyptian side of the Red Sea. And so the Egyptians had to actually take off their chariot wheels because they got stuck in the sand as they pursued the Israeli people. And the Hebrews went on and they walked across, or shall I say, the Israeli people, the nation of Israel. They walked through the 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 channel that was divided by the Lord. Okay, and so they walked through to safety. And as I said before, the pillar of cloud remained between the Egyptian army and the people of Israel, protecting them, holding the um, the Egyptian army back until they were safely across. And so the Egyptians, eventually the Egyptian army, when they found that they were able to proceed forward after the Israelites, um, they went in after them, and the waters, obviously, we know by now that the waters rushed over the Egyptian army, and the Israelis, the Israeli people, the nation of Israel, they saw the bodies floating on the water after they were drowned. So they had full evidence that the Egyptian army was destroyed. And the people of the Lord began to fear the Lord and believe the Lord and Moses and his servant Moses. So here is it's time for me to offer something that I've learned, a concept that I learned in my study of Moses. This is what I've learned. You know, Moses at one time, 80 years before, he was a young prince, and 40 years ago, he was a young prince, and 40 years ago, he chose to become the deliverer of the nation of Israel himself without God. He because remember, Moses was an extremely successful warrior. He was a general at that time in the Egyptian army, and in the Bible, he is known to be great and wise in words and in deeds. And he was courageous, and he was a powerful man by the fact that he was able um, to strike and kill the Egyptian taskmaster almost with ease and bury him in the sand. And also, you got to remember that when he was exiled in the desert of Midian, he fended off those sheep herders by himself without any help. So he was gifted in warfare. Okay. And so he was also a very polished person because he was tutored by some of the best tutors in the world in theology, warfare, mathematics, history, science. I mean, and also art and sculpture. So he knew it all. And so, and he was favored among the people of the nation of Egypt. So he was puffed up with a lot of pride, and he figured that he can be the deliverer without God. And so when he killed that Egyptian taskmaster, he killed one Egyptian and failed to fully cover up the fact that he can just kill one Egyptian. He buried him in the sand, but as you know, that people found out about it. With God, let's look on the other side of the coin now. With God, in association with Jehovah God, guess what Moses did? At age 80, okay, not age 40, at age 80, he was not only able to deliver the whole nation of Israel, but he was also able to destroy the whole Egyptian army. So let's look at this. Without God, you fail to completely kill, well, you did kill one Egyptian and failed to cover up that. And with God, you can deliver and fail to deliver your people. Okay, without God, you kill one Egyptian and you fail to even deliver your people, one person out of Egypt, except yourself. And with God, he was able to deliver a whole nation. Over 600,000 is estimated, over 600,000 Israelites, and destroy a whole army of Egyptians. So which would you rather have? Working without God or working with God? Killing one Egyptian or killing a whole multitude of Egyptians and delivering your people out of bondage at the same time at the age of 80? Which would you rather be? So, as I said before in the early part of my message today, you have two options. You can either obey God and make history, or you choose not to obey God and be history. So with that, I thank you for your time. This time, until next time, we'll be seeing you.